I watched a handful of films virtually at the 2025 edition of Sundance, and I wanted to talk about a few of them. But first, it's not really a movie, but special mention to Cooper Raif's Hal and Harper. The director of Shithouse and Cha Cha Real Smooth made an independent TV show starring him, Lily Reinhart, and Mark Ruffalo. It just completely emotionally annihilated me. I'm sure this is going to be, like all of Cooper's films have been for me, a go-to comfort watch. And I'm kind of sad that I don't even know when the next time I'll be able to see it again, since it hasn't been picked up at the time of this recording. But Hal and Harper is yet another special project from a young artist whose work means a great deal to me. For me, the highlights of many Sundances are found in their documentary sections, and that is where Brittany Shyne's Seeds can be found. This meditative portrait of black farmers in the American South is captured in gorgeous black and white, charting the decline of generational black farmers and the significance of owning land. The film, while centered around this dwindling number of acreage owned by black farmers, is far from didactic or preachy. Shyne's lyrical lens instead brings us right into the lives of this community of farmers, immersing us into the slow, mundane rhythms of their existence, and how these individuals interact with the landscapes around them. She forgoes history and context, talking heads, overbearing voiceover, in place of many dialogue-free images of labored hands, of nature and farm work. She lets her ideas organically stem from her evocative imagery, without having to overtly articulate any of them. Seeds really is such a soft, loving exploration of the communities that are the very backbones of America, yet go completely unnoticed, tossed to the wayside when we all should be listening to their stories, to help maintain their legacies so that they may endure for future generations to latch onto. Kate Beecroft's debut East of Wall is a stirring neo-western docu-fiction film inspired by real events. The story takes place in the Badlands of South Dakota, on a horse ranch managed by a hardened young woman named Tabitha, who is reeling from the death of her husband and uses the ranch as a sanctuary of sorts for teens whose parents have passed, are incarcerated, or drug addicted, who have no one or nowhere else to turn to. What stood out to me most here, even so early in her filmmaking career, was Beecroft's keen, unwavering gaze, the way she and her cinematographer Austin Shelton capture the plains of the American West. The dilapidated trailer homes and poverty-riddled streets of small-town America marries stark realism with such visual wonder. I thought a lot about the early work of Chloe Zhao here, her films like Songs My Brother Taught Me and The Writer, and the way Beecroft is able to capture a particular place, inhabited by their actual residents, and wrestling with their very own day-to-day struggles, without ever feeling exploitative. Most of the cast, with the exception of Scoot McNairy and Jennifer Eel, are all first-time performers, more or less playing versions of themselves. The film really weaves fact and fiction so seamlessly, in large part because Beecroft spent nearly 3 years living with the family of the film, coming to know them so intimately before placing them in front of a camera. As a result, East of Wall radiates with empathy, and shows the potential of hybridity in cinema when done thoughtfully. It may lose focus at points, but it won me over in the end, when the film acts as witness to the power of collaboration and the tenacity of humanity in the face of hardship. I am really excited to see where Kate Beecroft goes from here. The most Sundance-y of movies on this list is definitely Ava Victor's debut film, Sorry Baby, that she wrote, directed, and starred in. You may know Victor from her many viral TikTok videos / comedy sketches that were especially popular back during the pandemic. The blurb on the Sundance website very simply and succinctly describes the plot of Sorry Baby as something bad has happened to Agnes, but life goes on, for everyone around her at least. I'm sure the specifics will be later revealed in the eventual trailer, but I don't want to reveal anything more here, as I feel it's important to not rob you of the impact this film carries, because this debut feature is such a witty, emotionally intelligent exploration of trauma and the complexities of modern friendships. What very easily could have played as a saccharine take on the triumphs and struggles of the healing process, Victor instead uses real piercing emotional insight with these streaks of biting humor. It's a triumphant tonal juggling act that perfectly captures the terrifying, clumsy reality of navigating a life with unhealed wounds. Everything becomes a reminder of that bad thing that has happened to you, and your life becomes a collection of struggles, some trivial, some monumental. You look towards those around you to provide some comfort, but knowing that their lives are going to move on, and you will have to pick up the pieces of yours on your own. The film also uses a non-linear structure, including chapter headings that announce in a pretty matter-of-fact way what this particular episode is grappling with in the 5-year span of Agnes's life that we get to experience. Ava Victor's performance is truly special here, a star-making turn for a performer that has both the comedic timing and dramatic chops needed to pull off a role of such humanity and vulnerability. carrying with her an immense sense of warmth, along with that pain simmering behind her eyes. Naomi Ackie and Lucas Hedges are great as figures in the orbit of Agnes's small world, bringing wit and tenderness to their respective roles. There will surely be many comparisons to early Baumbach and Gerwig works, and even Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and while their voices do shine through, Sorry Baby is still refreshingly distinct, announcing the arrival of a new voice that understands how to use tragedy and comedy in equal measure to mine real heart and power. We're definitely going to be talking about this film all year long. Geeta Gandbhir's riveting and infuriating documentary, The Perfect Neighbor, investigates a single case in Florida of disputes between neighbors that takes a turn. Primarily using police body cam and CCTV footage, the film maps the escalating tensions between Susan Lorenz, who is known as the community Karen, and the black families who are her neighbors, whose children she incessantly calls the police on and eventually deems a threat. Gandbhir's damning indictment on Florida's controversial stand your ground law and the limits of policing is a really formally compelling piece of true crime. I was pretty hesitant to give this one a go because this genre of documentary normally isn't to my liking, but this is such a sobering watch that is entirely anti-sensationalist and never exploits the victims of this atrocity, the fatal flaws of most true crime media for me. Gandbhir doesn't provide any answers nor lecture the audience like a standard issue doc might, instead presenting unembellished footage that speaks entirely for itself. If you found Theo Anthony's film, All Light Everywhere, from a few years back as compelling as I did, The Perfect Neighbor is a really good companion piece to that work, and how they both probe the systemic flaws of policing through the use of surveillance technology. It's a truly eye-opening and enraging piece of non-fiction filmmaking. Expanded from the acclaimed video installation of the same name, Kahlil Joseph's Black News Terms and Conditions is a boundary-pushing, nearly unclassifiable work that carefully melds material culled from archival footage, social media, movies new and old, and images of Joseph's own making, lensed by the great cinematographer Bradford Young. But at its very core, the project draws a lot from the ambitious text, Africana, the Encyclopedia of the African and African American Experience, which was a text inspired by W.E.B. Du Bois's dream of editing an African encyclopedia. Joseph has said that he approached Black News as if it was an album, and that makes a lot of sense. The project is divided into chapters or individual songs, motions, that allow these fragmented images, this overload of information, to feel of one beautifully unwieldy piece that aims to encapsulate the past, present, and future of the Black experience. This is a work that challenges you and asks you to think critically about style, colonization, and slavery, the creative process. The project features music from Travis Scott, Sampha, and Flying Lotus, alongside a tremendous original score by South London artist Klein. It also features the work of many singular Black filmmakers like Raven Jackson of All Dirt Road's Taste of Salt, Garrett Bradley of Time, and the great cinematographer Arthur Jaffa. Black News can be an overwhelming experience. The way Joseph rapidly files through all of this seemingly disparate imagery, its limitless stream of ideas. In that way, it's a film that demands multiple revisits, just to soak in all that it has to say. The style will undoubtedly alienate many viewers, and because of that, I wonder what studio is going to be cool enough to distribute a film with, let's just say, a complete lack of any commercial prospects. But I know it will find its place among those looking for a challenge, making its way into cultural and academic discussions for years to come. It was by far the very best, most interesting thing I saw at this year's Sundance Film Festival.